Hi, I'm Brooke. Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to talk about something really out there. So, buckle up. I'm going to tell you a story about um, an object that vanished into thin air and reappeared somewhere else. And I debated whether I should tell this story or not because it definitely sounds like woo. And like I've said in my other videos, I wouldn't believe that if it didn't happen to me. I'll be honest, like I wouldn't believe it, but it did happen. And it was pretty interesting and fun. And I think that more and more stuff like this is happening to a lot of people. And so a lot of the reason I want to share these videos is to connect with other people, to let people know like you're not alone. I've said in other videos too, like I grew up super regular, never had any of these experiences or thought they were possible or real. Maybe I kind of think everybody's having experiences that they're writing off as like, oh, I don't know. But this thing was so not write offable. And that's going to be a funny pun once I tell you what the object was. But um, anyways, so I do think things like this are happening to people. I think our world is changing. I think that maybe some of these things have happened to you. I'm going to just go out there and say it. And I'm curious. Please leave a comment if you've ever had an experience like this. And I'd be so curious because I really think there's people out there. And the reason I'm bringing this up because I saw a post on Instagram. This woman, she said she had read a passage in a book, and then she went back to the book like a couple of days later, and that passage wasn't in the book. And she was like, "Did I dream it up? What's happening?" And I was like, "I think you shifted timelines. I think you're in a new reality now, and you're showing yourself." So I do think that that is what it is. Although I have like a couple theories. But I'll tell you a story and then I'll tell you my theories. And first, I'm going to tell you about me. I am a fine art photographer. I'm sitting in my art gallery in Manhattan Beach, California. This is some of my artwork behind me. And my artwork focuses on day-to-day simple pleasures like palm trees and buildings and the ocean. And so if you like beautiful things on your walls and you want to feel good vibes and maybe a little magical, mystical vibes after you hear this story, then I will put a link to my website in the description and to my Instagram so you can follow along and feel inspired and have candy for your eyes. Okay, so my story. Okay, so I've had a lot of things shift in my reality and things that I can't really explain. But I would say this was the most unusual or just really, really obvious. um, and I've never seen something vanish into thin air before or have it reappear somewhere else. So this was an unusual thing. So what I was doing, I was sitting on my bed. I do automatic writing. I always have like a journal. I use those like composition notebooks and like Bic pens, right? And I always have like a journal with a pen in it, and I write, and then when I'm done, I throw it out and use a new one. So I have my journal, my pen. I do automatic writing, and then when I'm done with writing, I read the writing out loud. So at this point, I'm sitting in my bed. I have a big king size bed. Okay. So I'm like in like the middle ish, like maybe not all the way, but there's like a good foot or two next to me. And so I am like sitting on the fitted sheet, and the top sheet and the duvet are like folded over, like sort of on a diagonal. And then there's like bed, over duvet bed in the corner. Doing my best to like explain the setup because I feel like it's very important. So I'm like in an open space, fitted sheet and duvet are folded over. I am holding the journal in this hand and I'm reading it, and the pen is in my right hand. And I'm just sort of loosely holding it like this, like my arm is close to my body and it's just sort of like sitting here like this. And I'm reading with this hand and I'm into the reading. So I'm kind of absentmindedly holding the pen. And at some point, my hand opens and the pen slides out. And I am immediately aware that I did not hear or feel it land. And as you can see, I'm sitting, right, like the arm is like this. So there's really only one place for the pen to go, right? It would land like right on my, or right next to my thigh on the bed. And like I said, I was a couple feet into the bed so that, the weight of my body is making the mattress slope, right? So it would just, it wouldn't like roll off. That wouldn't, that doesn't really work in the laws of physics or whatever. So I feel it slip out then there's nothing. So I go, oh, and I look for it. It's not there. It's not next to me. And I'm like, what? I think, well, that's weird, right? So I get up and it's not like under me, nothing. And then I look like, so next to my bed is an area rug. So I kind of think, did it fall? But again, it just, I mean, there's no way it could have rolled off the bed, but let's just say in some universe, right? Because I'm trying to make sense of this now. So I'm looking, it's not on the area rug. I get down, like look under the bed. I mean, again, it wouldn't like this whole rolling wouldn't have happened, but I'm still looking for it. It's not anywhere. And my bed is like the bedspread is white. There's nothing on the bed, right? So the whole top of the bed, there's nothing there, right? It's just duvet. So nothing is there. And so I'm like, okay, at this point, I'm just so confused. And I'm thinking, oh, it's got to show up. Like, I just don't know what to make of it. So I just decide, like, wanted some water or something. I go down to the kitchen, like, get a little snack, hang out for a bit. And I come back upstairs, and the pen is just sitting on the left corner over the duvet. Again, I had folded, but then there was this like flat duvet surface. So I was sitting on the right side on the fitted sheet, and it should have landed like right there. And I come back, and it is on the far left corner, just chilling, just hanging out. I am here, right? And I just like stared at it. I was like, okay, sure. Right. And so the first thing I thought of was, if you guys are familiar with Bashar, I'm guessing if you're watching this, you probably are, but it's a channeled entity. And I heard him say once, that everything has a different vibration. Like he talks about physical reality, calls it like a film strip that like everything's sort of a still picture that you're moving your consciousness through. Like we create the illusion of movement. So he says like something like the pen, you think you're picking up the pen, there's one pen, you're picking it up, you're moving it from here to there. But he says this pen and this pen have a different vibration or different frequency. And that if you could like believe it or wrap your head around it, you could just focus on the pen that's here and it would just like appear, right? Like each movement is its own sort of frame of reality, and that you're focusing yourself into each movement, and that really things are working, like they're just sort of showing up, that you think you're like moving things through space and time. So that was the first thing that occurred to me, that the pen that was in my hand, that was one pen has a certain vibration, and then it appeared somewhere else with a different vibration. And I think we show ourselves these things in order to like show yourself, right? I think the more you expand your consciousness and awaken, the more you can see things like this um and sort of snap yourself out of the illusion or the dream. And then, so that is my theory that it's kind of like being in another, you could say you shifted timelines or you showed yourself, you showed up like without having to physically move the pen. It showed up somewhere else because I showed up in a different frequency, the frequency of the pen in that space. Um, and then what's really interesting, like a few months later, I actually told someone that story and someone who's like open to this kind of stuff, and we had a laugh. And I was like, I don't even know what to say about that. Like it was such a bizarre thing. And but she, she's someone who's into this, and her and I laughed. And then the next morning, so I often journal like at night or just throughout the day. And so the journal I write and then slide the pen into the journal and sort of put it on that side of the bed where there, it's not, I'm not in that side, right? And so, the journal is like always on the bed. Um, anyway, so I had told my friend this story. We laughed. The next morning, I woke up, I had journaled tonight, put the pen in the journal, put it out on the left side. And in the morning, I woke up, got up, went to the bathroom, didn't think about anything, just, sort of shuffled to the bathroom. I come back and, sorry, my hair is not behaving. I come back and I, I look, so I had gotten out of the bed, like opened the covers, come back in the room, and the pen is in the bed, like in the spot where it should have landed in the first place. And I, of course, I was like, oh my God. And I opened the journal, it's not in there. And it somehow migrated, materialized in that spot. And I thought that was hilarious. I mean, I laughed really hard. I thought it was hilarious. And that was like the only person I told that story to, and the pen showed up in that place like right the next morning. And I I mean, the pen has a sense of humor. I mean, I think it's right. It's like myself showing myself like a good time. It's my higher self, my soul, whatever you want to call it. I think it's like having a laugh, right? And it's just like showing these funny things. And I think it's a means of waking up. Anyways, so that's probably one of the most interesting, although I've had a couple more things recently, like the keys on my keychain, like I sort them by silver and gold. And then one day, like the silver was on the, like one of the silvers was in the gold side. But to me, I mean, that of course I was like, okay, I'm just kind of used to this stuff. But the pen thing to me, for some reason, has been the most unusual, just because it really just like I felt it slip away and then it was just gone, just gone. And then it just shows up in a completely different space. So I am so interested. I think there's a word for that. Like, I mean, I'm thinking like teleportation or something, but I think there's actually like a term. Um, if you know the term, please leave in the comments. If you have had something like this happen and you're not afraid to share it, I'm so curious if you have explanations. Um, like explanation, I mean like metaphysical explanation, not like, oh, you made it up. I don't know if I'll get any of those comments on here, but I just feel like I want to live in a world where like I don't know how to do that on purpose. And I think it's possible. I think that we can live in a world where we can actually like move through portals and things can appear and disappear and you could just think of something and it can appear. And I think it does happen to some degree, but I want to learn to control it. I want to do it on purpose. Like that was really fun, but then I'm like, okay, universe or whatever, like, well, how do I do it on purpose? How do I make, I don't know what, whatever object, like some car that I want, like just materialize in my garage, things like that. But I feel like this is the beginning or the opening. Um, and again, I don't think it's just me. So I'm putting it out there. Has it happened to you? Or maybe if you watch this video, it will happen to you after. Anyways, I am so curious. I'm so interested to hear if anyone has these stories or theories. And it was a really fun experience. And I hope you enjoyed the story, whether you believe me or not. Okay.